What's up, travelers? Prinston Hicks coming to you from the Cineverse. I'm out here at Midtown Park today, and I actually want to switch gears this week and talk about a personal concept of mine I call the action threshold. So to start this off, let me ask you a couple of questions. Have you ever met somebody who seems to know it all or has a large amount of knowledge, but they still don't seem to create much success? Now, on the other hand, have you met somebody that, say, takes a lot of action, but they don't create much success in their lives either? So I want to actually talk about some of the reasons why I found that this happens and explain it in the concept I like to call the action threshold. So let's get right into it. So to explain this concept, I like to break it down in 3 parts. So I put up a chart or a graph or something to kind of illustrate the point so you can see it a little bit better in the video, but I break it down in 3 parts. Now, basically the first part being on one side you have what's called your emotional strength. Now your emotional strength is every action you take. For example, if you make a call you don't want to, you go to an event you don't want to, you talk to somebody you don't want to, anytime you push your comfort zone, you build a level of emotional strength. On the opposite end, you have what's called your technical knowledge, specialized knowledge, and what this is basically all the knowledge that you have in your possession. So this is every book that you've read, every mentor you've talked to, everything, all this stuff forms your specialized knowledge. Now, in the middle of that, I created a slope called the action threshold, and the action threshold is actually your ability to take action. And I'll actually get a little deeper into that in a second. Now, I want to first start off by talking about the emotional strength. So what's the emotional strength? So like I said before, that's your ability to take action. So that's anything you do, for example, making a call, going to a networking event, pushing your comfort zone, calling a high-level CEO for the first time, you know, just putting yourself out there, maybe even making a video or vlog, anything that's going to push your comfort zone, that's going to be considered something that builds your emotional strength. So one thing I find about emotional strength is that as you take action or as you push your comfort zone, it actually becomes easy for you to do that in the future. So if you make one video blog, it's not going to be as hard to make the second one and the third and the fourth and the fifth and so on and so on. Same thing with making calls. Now, when you first make the first couple of calls, it's going to be extremely difficult, or maybe it's not for you, but it's going to be extremely difficult. And by it being difficult, the first time you might have trouble, you may have all kind of fear or reactions to it, but as you keep doing it, you build up emotional strength, it becomes easier to take action. So what about the other end of the spectrum? What about technical knowledge? What is technical knowledge? Now, I define technical knowledge as all the knowledge in your possession. So this is anything you've gotten from mentors, anything you've gotten from books, anything that you acquire from education, that's all under your technical knowledge. And also another thing that falls under your knowledge or your technical knowledge is anybody that you have under your employ or that's in your circle that bridges the gap of knowledge you don't know. That's all knowledge that you can use in order to actualize a goal. So that's everything that's under your technical knowledge. So if you look at the chart, in the middle you'll see that there's a slope that's called the action threshold. Now, the action threshold is what I define as what creates the ability to take action. So looking at this chart, we can see how the two sides contrast each other. Now, I put the action threshold in the middle because this basically explains the ability to take action. So as emotional intelligence rises, not emotional intelligence, sorry, as emotional strength rises, rather, as emotional strength rises, your ability to take action becomes easier. So that's illustrated by the downward slope on the action threshold. Now, on the other end, as your technical knowledge rises, that's like staying in the house, learning all the theory, learning all the business, learning everything you possibly can, but not taking action on it. The action threshold actually goes to an upward slope, which means it's harder for you to actually take action. Now, looking at this, we can kind of understand how we get into a spot where we're taking a lot of action and then we don't seem to be getting a lot of results, because what that's basically telling you is that since you're taking a lot of action, not getting results, it's time for you to take a step back and actually look at what you're doing and gain a little bit more technical knowledge in order for you to move forward. And like I said before in the previously, that you can actually get somebody, or you can have some type of specialized knowledge, or somebody come in to actually bridge that gap. Now, what about on the opposite end? Now, on the opposite end, you could say, well, I have a bunch of specialized knowledge, but I'm not taking action. So this is the type of person who has all the theories. They tell you what you should be doing or what you could be doing, but they don't create much success for themselves because their emotional strength, they haven't built up the emotional strength or the ability to take action. So what's the best way to be? So with illustrating the action threshold, I say the best way to be is actually a little bit more emotional strength than you have technical knowledge. And why do I say that? Well, the big reason is action. One of the big things I emphasize when I talk to friends or anybody I'm working with in business is the ability to take action. So for example, it doesn't really matter how many books you read or how much theory you know. If you can't take action on those ideas will never come to life. So we want to have our scale be something more similar to this, whereas the action or the emotional strength is at this level and the technical knowledge is at this level. So that means you've taken time to learn. You've taken the time to learn for whatever business or whatever thing you're doing in life. So you want to have some type of skills related to the craft or whatever field you're working with, but you also want to have enough emotional strength to take action on that. So let's say something like making calls, video blogs. I talk about those often. You may have ways or you may have theories about why they may work, but you're never going to know truly until you take action. Now, one little caveat I would like to add is that one thing about emotional strength or building emotional strength is when you take action, you're actually going to learn from firsthand experience, and firsthand experiences is something that actually adds to your technical knowledge. So one of the best things or one of the best ways to learn is by actually doing something. So when you make mistakes, those actually become the best teachers. So even by building emotional strength, you still build a level of technical knowledge. And this is why another one of the main reasons that I say that building emotional strength is preferable, or not preferable, but is more important than building technical knowledge. So to wrap this up, I hope you can see how the action threshold or paying attention to your action threshold would allow you to kind of understand when you get into a position where you're not moving forward or you're not creating much progress. So if it's the side where it's more emotional strength, you're not having problem taking action, maybe you need to step back and look at it and say, you know, what exactly can I do in this situation, or what can I learn in this situation to allow me to move forward? Now on the opposite end, if you have a lot of knowledge and you have a lot of great ideas, I would say get out there and test them. Get out there and try them. See what works, see what doesn't work, keep what does and doesn't work, and you'll build a lot more emotional strength in your ability to take action. It'll become a lot easier as you go along. So, as usual, if you have anything you want to hear me discuss on this video blog, leave me a comment below or send a link to this email. Always like and subscribe. It's hot out here. I'm about to get out of here for a second. Hope that was helpful to you, and I'll see you next time.